morning and welcome to the trade setup right here on BloombergQuint Live. I'm Niraj Shah, and quiet is the order of the day, but there's lots to cover, lots of ground to cover. So let me quickly cut to the chase. What the US markets did yesterday first, let's start off with that just as a cursory check as to what's happened. And it was a flattish day, really. I think the stock futures too, as we speak, are not really changed too much because two things have happened. One, of course, Joe Biden's $1.9 trillion COVID relief plan or the stimulus plan is now finally unveiled. A month or other, days in anticipation, what will come out, etc. Now we finally know what it is. The quantum is, about what a lot of people anticipated, maybe higher than what a few people anticipated, but it's 1.9 trillion. Now, what does it entail? It calls for stimulus checks, unemployment support, and more. I could get down to details, but it really doesn't impact your or my life. It impacts the average American's life, yes. But from a market's perspective, it doesn't impact as to what the plan is about. Yes, the overarching amount is about $1.9 trillion. There is an issue though, and I think which is what maybe the equity markets are believing, that some experts, at least some experts, believe that the smooth passage of the plan might have some challenges. There are some limited days in the House. They also have to battle with the impeachment proceedings of Donald Trump, and depends on what kind of support does this plan get. So which is why maybe the markets, in addition to the fact that yes, this was now much spoken about because of the perceived challenges that it may have in passing, and the fact that the markets have rallied so much, the equity markets are a bit quiet. If you want to know more about this, by the way, viewers, I urge you log on to our website BloombergQuint.com. I mean, there are multiple avenues, but I'm just giving you one avenue, which is BloombergQuint.com. You can log in and you can try and read more about the stimulus plans and the challenges and the market impact, etc. Our homepage has multiple stories about the stimulus plan and what the different things would be. Now, other news bits around equity markets otherwise. So Jerome Powell elsewhere has said that policymakers won't raise interest rates unless they see troubling signs of inflation. This has had an impact on the yield curve. I'll come to that in a bit. So that is part one that's happened. This is good news for equity markets, by the way. Oil rose to 10-month highs in New York on stimulus hopes, or the post the stimulus. And Bitcoin has now recovered some of the lost ground. It's trading back above the $38,000 mark, circa 39,000, as it continues to recover. But the first point on the screen, which is Jerome Powell's comments, not raising that Fed will not raise interest rates, that coupled with the fact that the belief that the US economy may be on the mend is leading to the yield curves steepening in the US. That typically happens when the longer end of the interest rates, so the younger end of the yields, start moving higher, even the shorter end is not. And that is what's happening. There's this chart which shows you how the sovereign curves have risen the steepest in years. Now, a lot of people are talking about how the jobless claims have risen so much that the economic recovery may be under question mark itself, as the virus batters US as well. The highest single-day casualties in the US, which happened yesterday, I think. So there's a bit of a problem there. But the equity markets are probably pricing in 6 months out or 3 months out, and hence they are a lot more sanguine. The SGX Nifty will next come up on your screen. Asia has a mixed bag. The SGX Nifty will come up on your screen next, and we'll show you what that is indicating, about 1/3% in the red. This is also because the US futures have also just come off a little bit. So that's the order of the day. The trade setup is that the global move will dictate what happens to the Nifty. So at least the first half of trade, we will have this kind of a move. Then if the US futures were to play around, then we might well have a different second half. We don't know. Till now, the last 1 hour has come to the Indian market's rescue as well. Almost every single day, the last 1 hour, 2:30 to 3:30, we've actually had a bit of a pullback. Will that happen today? Remains to be seen. The good part is that the continuous unwinding of the long contracts by FIIs has hit a bit of a pause. So yesterday there was actually a bit of a long addition. 3 days on a trot we had unwinding. Yesterday that took a bit of a pause. Let's see if that continues or does that get impacted. And also, viewers, from a individual sector perspective, I know we talk about the bank Nifty, IT, etc. every single day. And today IT could well have a bit of a bearing as well, because HCL Tech numbers will be out before market opens. And yesterday that stock had a terrible pounding. That could well have a bit of an impact on. It's not a heavyweight, but it could have a bit of an impact. But what I think will have a definite impact is what's happened to HAL day before yesterday, and the stock moved yesterday, and the announcement from Bharat Dynamics as well. These orders, these agreements certainly improve the sentiment around the Indian defense system. So largely PSUs, but I think all defense related stocks could well have some very interesting moves in not just today's session, but in the days to come. I dare say this could well be a pocket that all of us should be watching out for. Now, equity, the flows, just very quickly touching upon the flows, I think the FI flows continued to be positive. The good part yesterday was that the DI flows were not so large outflows. So the FIs bought about 1,076, which is okay. The DIs didn't sell 2,200, 2,300 crores. They sold just 188 crores. Maybe that's a bit of a positive sign. Nevertheless, let's talk about individual names. By the way, firstly, the earnings. As I said, HCL Tech numbers come out. I think they'll come out pre-market. So that's the Nifty earnings. Non-Nifty, there are 2 or 3 names, Hathway Cable, and after Den Networks numbers yesterday, Hathway Cable would be in focus. PVR, very important what they say. And Shoppers Stop, again, an important set of numbers. So 2 or 3 names, one which is expected to be good, which is Hathway. PVR and Shoppers Stop, I would reckon maybe slightly dicey. What are the stocks that one should watch out for? Bharat Dynamics, for sure. The number one name that I think I'll be watching out for in the session today. Signed a teaming agreement with Thales to manufacture Starstreak air defense system in India. Watch out for Bharat Dynamics as a company per se. Interesting name to watch out for. From stocks that will react, I think SAIL. It comes out of the FNO ban. So that is important, part one. Part two, of course, that the OFS received a very strong subscription response, and therefore, typically when companies which have, and the government has decided to exercise the additional option as well. But the point that I'm making is typically when companies receive very strong institutional response, the discounts don't last too much. I don't know if sales discount will last or no. I'm not equipped enough to make that comment. But I think that SAIL could have a very interesting trajectory in the next few days. So therefore, you should watch out for that one. By the way, speaking of metals, Tata Steel Long Product came out with a very good set of numbers. It's a subsidiary. Look at those numbers. Their revenue is up 37%. EBITDA has shot up because EBITDA margins from 3.5% to 30%. That's a near 10x or a 9x jump in EBITDA margins, and which augurs really well. And the net profit is a consequence of that performance, right? But this is such a strong performance that I wouldn't be surprised if metals at large have actually a good run in the session today, steel companies in particular. So I think I'll watch out for Tata Steel, SAIL in particular, both of these, and then some of the others too. Den Networks could be interesting. Optically looks very strong, but let me lay it out the numbers for you. So revenues up 8%, EBITDA up 12%, margins flattish. The net profit seems a very heightened number of jump up of 3x from 19 crores to 65 crores. But that's because there was a tax expense of 26 crores in the base quarter. Having said that, they have clocked in 65 crores of profits. Margins have expanded a little bit. It could be an interesting stock to watch out for. Last but not the least, I'm laying out the Morgan Stanley note on Bharti Airtel. They've come out with this note, which of course takes into cognizance the fact that MSCI has confirmed the pro forma foreign inclusion factor FIF announcement for Bharti Airtel on Feb 9, which essentially Morgan Stanley is saying that this confirmation removes the uncertainty surrounding the timing of a possible weight revision when it comes to Bharti Airtel. And therefore, their target of 680 stays. They remain overweight, but MSCI are confirming should augur well for Airtel. So this could be an interesting stock to monitor in the session today. And viewers, of course, I urge all of you to keep an update with a bit of a historic movement. Our vaccination drive starts, I think, on Sunday. We are also going to give a set of doses to our neighboring countries as well. So India officially embarks, in a manner of speaking, on what is the most watched out for event in the last 12 months, arguably in recent history, the COVID vaccination drive. Prime Minister Modi is going to unveil it. But this is important. It happens over the weekend. And fingers crossed, all 20 of them, fingers crossed for this to be successful, because boy, as a country, we need it as humanity. We need this to work very well. So all fingers crossed for that. All the best to all of you, to me, and all of us for this to be success. Thanks so much for tuning in, and have a great trading day ahead.